Welcome to SAP HXM Mornings. I'm Sven Ringling. I'm SAP HXM Advisor at Orbis People in Germany. You may remember one of our last sessions, I presented the options you have in the SAP HXM universe regarding payroll. In that session, I said that if you are using SuccessFactors Employee Central as your system of record, as your core HR system, integrated with the SAP ERP HCM on-premise solution, you don't need the personal administration, organizational management solutions anymore. And that seemed to confuse some people. So I want to clarify that. Obviously, you still need that data that used to live in the personal administration info types. And actually, it's still going to end up there. So that's like the name of the employee, the cost center assignment, the base pay. That's all still here. But SuccessFactors is the leading system. So all the changes, the management of the data happens here. And then through the business technology platform, it is replicated to fill these tables, and then those feed the payroll as you are used it from the past. Also, there's other data that is not really HR data, but core payroll data, like your tax data, your national insurance data. This actually is managed in that solution, even when the core HR is in the cloud, and it can be maintained directly down here, or as a best practice, it's usually maintained through so-called user interface mashups, so that users can do the maintenance through that same portal without really actively switching systems. But that's the easy part. So those tables stay where they are. They just fit in a different way. A bit different is with organizational management, because if it's just about payroll, you don't really need the organizational hierarchy tree for that, right? All you need to know for payroll is which cost center is somebody assigned to, maybe which position or job are they assigned to. That has an impact on payroll. But this data doesn't need this whole structure. It's just individual fields. And if you know the on-premise solution a little bit, you know that these fields are eventually in info type 1, where we have the organizational assignment. However, this might be a bit different if you need your organizational structure for something else in your on-premise environment. For instance, in an HCM context, you might be running the personnel cost planning and simulation module in your on-premise solution. This module is heavily dependent on the organizational structure in the org management module. So in that case, you would still need it here. But still, that doesn't mean that the on-premise system should be the leading system. This is still SuccessFactors Employee Central. And then same as you do with the people master data, you would use the integration through the business technology platform to feed your organizational management from SuccessFactors. And again, there's also out-of-the-box templates to help you with that. Other solutions that might require the organizational management org hierarchy is other modules in your ERP solution. Maybe in procurement, you have workflows that rely on that org structure. Again, in that case, you could still use SuccessFactors as the leading system, and you should indeed if it's the same structure. And again, use the integrations through BTP to feed your ERP system with that structural data. However, what I've also seen a lot is that the logistics or finance modules in ERP do use organizational management to support their workflows, but they use a different structure. They don't use what you use in HR. Obviously, you could challenge that. Why do you actually live two different structures in the organization? But if this makes business sense, and if your ERP solution does have like a shadow structure, then there is no added value in maintaining that structure in Employee Central. If HR doesn't need it, then you could just as well maintain it directly in your ERP system. You don't have to worry about it here. You take some complexity out of what HR needs to do in the org structure. And you also save yourself an extra integration through the BTP. So that's just the points I wanted to clarify. Thanks a lot for listening. I wish you a great day and wonderful experience. Until next time, bye.